All right, in this video, we are going to talk about monitoring your budget. Now, it is difficult to create a budget, but it is more difficult to monitor that budget. So let's say that you have put a budget together, you've gone through the process of taking your income and assigning every dollar of your income to a home, a category. We've divided this sheet into the categories of debt, of fixed expenses, of fun expenses, of future expenses, and then of fudge expenses. And we'll dive into those a little bit more. But if you've built your budget on this, you got to then move to the phase of execution. Just because you say, I plan on spending $1,400 on my fixed expenses is of little value unless you determine if that's how much you actually spent. So let me go back to a little story from my first year of marriage. I got married in 2001, and our first budget, I remember, was $2,500. That was our take-home pay for the first several months that we were married. One of us was working, the other was just finishing up school, and so we had $2,500 to work with and to spread out over various categories. And we made it work. Now that was 20 years ago, so I realized, more than 20 years ago, that was 23 years ago, I realized that a dollar isn't going to buy you as much at McDonald's as it did back then. But the concepts are the same. So I want to take you through this process of monitoring your budget. And it's going to be based on the assumption that we have here $2,000 to work with for the entire month. All right? What I've done is taken these categories. And again, debt is a category where you've already made a commitment that you've borrowed money and you have that payment. So this debt category are previous commitments you've already made. The fixed category is going to be what I like to call needs. These are things that are going to be there every month. You need them. They're not wants, they're needs. And so that's what goes in this category. And again, you can break it down into pieces. So you can say, my utilities are going to cost this much, my food is going to cost this much, my gas is going to cost this much. That exercise is important to do, but I'm just using the big numbers for the whole category. Then over here, we've got the fun money, which is things that you have some discretion over. Your streaming services, your eating out, things that you don't have to do. They're wants, all right? Fixed would be necessities, fun would be wants. Future is your savings, and then fudge was the buffer, the things you've forgotten, the help to the rest of the budget, all right? So I've tried to keep it just real simple and just have those big categories rather than each subcategory below that, all right? But I want to show you how to monitor. So let's say that you're going through today. Today is March 7th. And let's say on this particular day, I have a credit card minimum payment that I have to make. Let's say I have $2,000 in credit card debt and I have a $50 payment that has to be made today. Well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to put on here today's date, and let me make this, I'm going to underline this just to help us out a little bit to tell the difference between these. And let's say it's $50, all right? Let's say that I also have to go get some gas today while I'm out. So I'm going to put in, again, today's date, and I'm going to put in here Sam's gas, let's say. Let's say I spent $65 filling up my vehicle. Let's say that I'm scheduled to go to lunch with a buddy, and we're going to go to Slim Chickens today, and I spend $10. You know, if you've seen enough videos from me so far, you know that I love Chick-fil-A, and so me saying Slim Chickens there was probably blasphemy. So I'm going to put in Chick-fil-A because it is one of my favorite places to eat. Let's say I spend $10.55 at Chick-fil-A today. That's going to go under fun. All right, I'm trying to save up in the future for a car. And so let's say I have an internet transfer that's scheduled for today, and that's going to just go to my savings account. And let's say that's going to be for $50 today. All right. So you get the gist. You're putting in transactions as they happen throughout the month. The easiest way to do this is to keep all of your receipts, and at the end of the day, to put in your receipts for the day. That's what my wife and I did. We didn't have a spreadsheet like this. We just had a piece of yellow notebook paper, and I wrote out actually each category. I would write eating out under this section. We had an entertainment budget, which meant we could go to the movies, and that was a lot cheaper back then. So I actually had one of these for every category, every subcategory, I should say, rather than every big category. And every day I would write down just with a pen what I spent that particular day. Keeping your receipts can help you do that because, or you can look at your banking mobile app or your credit card mobile app because normally those transactions will show up. But the idea is to track it all throughout the month and to create a formula here where it's taking this 250 and it's subtracting all of the amounts that you put into this category or this column so that you see at the bottom how much you have left. So on the fixed expenses, if I've got a month's worth of expenses in here and I realize down here that I've only got $12 left, then I may have to get ramen noodles for the last grocery run to stay within those limits. Or under fun money, I may realize I've spent all my fun money for the month and I don't have any more to spend. So this provides the accountability for the budget that you created. It is the monitoring of your plan. It is the executing of your plan. And so it's not enough to simply build a budget, but you want to continue to see if you're living within that budget. Because once again, if you don't, the only outcome is a hole that you're digging. And it's just a matter of time before that hole becomes really, really deep. I'll give you another way that you can monitor your budget. Dave Ramsey advocates an envelope system that allows you to take cash for certain categories, particularly your fun money, the categories where you have some discretion, and you put that amount into individual envelopes for every subcategory of your budget. So you can look in there and see how much is left. It's real easy to see. I've heard other folks online advocate jars, glass jars, where you put the money into a glass jar where you can see it and be able to see the money disappearing throughout the month. So whatever system works for you is fine so long as it works. I wanted to show you one system here with just using a simple spreadsheet, and this is very basic. There are lots of online tools where you can go and download a free budget. I'm going to include in this series a Dave Ramsey basic budget, which is just a simple one-sheet budget that you can put together. But on top of that, you got to have the system to monitor it. So whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's a pencil and paper, whether it's glass jars, or whether it's envelopes, find a way throughout the month to see how you're doing. And then at the end of the month, evaluate it, because anything that you've got left over could obviously go over into a savings account, or you could build this fudge category up so that the surplus that you have in certain months will help to cover any deficits you have in future months. So I hope that's been helpful to see one example of how you can monitor your budget, and hopefully it makes sense of the criticality of actually doing that.